people like to establish relationships. They trust those people that they can see. They trust brands a little bit more than brands that are faceless. Okay guys, so on this lesson, we're going to talk about something that might be difficult to swallow for a lot of people. Based on the experience, it used to be difficult for me. And that's you becoming the face of your brand. This is difficult to confront, but it really is the easiest path to expansion. Now, if you feel completely uncomfortable with getting behind a camera and talking to the world and talking about your story, explaining to the world about who you are, talking about how you're a small business, family owned, that you have this passion to helping people, talking about your background, if you feel uncomfortable doing that, I understand. I'm going to ask you to take a look into that and find out if you really have what it takes to actually do that. Some people refuse completely to go in that direction, and that's fine. On this course, it doesn't depend on doing that at all. This is just an extra lesson because from my experience, guys, when you are able to stand behind a camera and talk about what you are, your business, your passion, and you become the face of your corporation, of your business and your brand, it makes it easier for you to penetrate because people like to establish relationships. They trust those people that they can see. They trust brands a little bit more than brands that are faceless. So that's something that I can tell you based on my experience. My dad is an example of that. We built a multi-million-dollar business that sells over $35 million a year now because he's the face of the corporation. People don't even question what we do because he's the face. And they always think about him before they spend any money. They know he's on their mind and he trusts him. So whenever we ask for money, any of the consultants, any of the people over the phone, anybody that takes orders, because he is the face, they trust him. You guys know that I handle another big brand. For those of you guys that have seen me for a while, and I've given you some examples of that. This other person is going to do about $50 million in sales this year. Guys, it's incredible numbers. When you're talking about one single face of the corporation, one single individual getting behind the camera, providing value to the world, and behind him, he has his awesome brand of products. So that's one thing that I want you guys to understand, that when you have a face, it's a little bit of an easier path, and it's something that you can get yourself used to. I myself, trust me, I was not always comfortable talking to a camera. I didn't like it. I felt uncomfortable. My first seminars, I felt like I was actually gonna faint. I didn't feel like comfortable behind a bunch of people talking and everybody looking at me. That's something that actually you work around and eventually you get more confidence in. Just like riding the bicycle, you get better at it. Just actually improving your marketing skills, you get better at it. And with time, you improve along the way. So this is not something mandatory. I know that a lot of you guys are used to being behind the screen and behind closed doors and out of the world. But I will tell you that if you have what it takes, you can get behind that camera and start talking to the world and start connecting yourself with the world and more with the brand. There's a lot of things that you can do. There's a lot of very simple things that you can actually do to connect yourself with the actual branding efforts. You can do Facebook Lives and introduce yourself as a CEO, as the owner of the company, as the founder, as a co-founder, as a director of the company, as a product management, or whatever it is that you want to use, and talk about how your product helps people get better. And then you can actually become, if it's possible, the content director for yourself and start building content that educates the world about your particular area of expertise. If you are really good with kids and you're a writer, or if you are really good with like makeup, then you can get behind that camera and give people tips, give them value about your area of expertise. And by doing that, you connect yourself with the world and they connect with you and with your brand. Your brand is always in the limelight. When it has to do with like your personal brand, it gets connected instantly with you. So this is something that is really powerful. And I wanted to give you guys a little lesson about this because if it's possible, I really want you to trust me. It is very, very powerful for you to advertise yourself. You as a person, get in that camera. You as an individual, take pictures of your own stuff with you on them. You as an individual, produce a podcast. You talking to the world about your brand and your area of expertise. Some people might not feel comfortable being behind the camera. That's fine. Well, if you completely refuse to do that, well, there's other avenues. For example, there's a podcast, which I talked to you about that before. An Anchor account is super awesome because you can go in there and you can build your own podcast within your cell phone without any complications or any high technology and start communicating to the world through audio content and distribute this all over all podcasts around the world, including in social media. So pretty much I'm trying to get rid of any excuses that you can have in the subject of providing value to the world and ideally you connecting yourself with the brand. I am confident that the long-term survival of yourself and the brand is going to be greatly benefited by you planting your roots as the face of your corporation. Doing Facebook Lives to talk about new product launches, talking about your existence on the Amazon line or your own launch of your own e-commerce shop or a new accomplishment, like for example, I got 10,000 fans or whatever it is that you open up a new channel or you got a new podcast, and doing this consistently every single day is really powerful. When I talk about every single day, I'm not exaggerating. I'm talking about every single day putting yourself out there and little by little getting more familiarity with the subject of being a brand and little by little getting people to see you more and more and connecting with them. That way, when you're asking for something, they don't think twice about it and they buy in. Those of you guys that feel confident enough to start building your personal brand, I want to recommend you guys to get it done and start. But I think that this is one of the most powerful strategies in this modern era. You can build a personal brand that is connected with a huge brand, and that way, we dominate the world. You dominate the world. It is the easiest path to expansion. Guys, think about this. Spend the next couple of days contemplating the idea of you getting behind the camera and you getting out of any cocoon if you actually are in one of those, and start communicating to the world and providing value and connecting.